Hi everyone, Mark Buzan here. If you got the notice, yes, going live, and I hope to be doing a little bit more of these more frequently. If you've got just a moment to be able to take your time there, I really would appreciate you. There's a few great announcements I want to be making. So for those of you who are just maybe turning in, my name is Mark Buzan. I'm a former two-time executive director and president of two national associations. I'm a former board director of nonprofits, father of a 5-year-old, a wonderful little guy named Simon, and founder of the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors and owner of our Executive Director Association Management Services. Today I'm going to be streaming to talk to you about what I believe are the two biggest roadblocks to nonprofits actually making the difference that they could be as well in society. And because I found at the heart of it, it's often a question very much what holds these organizations back. So how many of you, if you're listening to this, either in the live stream or as well in maybe in the recording after the fact, would like to learn about the roadblocks to nonprofit growth and impact? Let me know a little bit about more of that and heart this, please, as well. If you heart it, it makes a bigger difference there. But before I'm going to get started, I'm just give you a brief 5-second break. We're going to share this as well, the live stream on some of the other platforms as well. So just hanging on there for a moment. Okay. So you'll be helping me a lot through Facebook's algorithms and through LinkedIn's algorithms and the other platforms as well. We're on Periscope, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, through my own personal profile, LinkedIn, and you help us a lot. Frankly, help me out a lot. Frankly, if you like this thing, but even better if you heart the heck out of this thing, because that tells the social networks that this is great content and helps get the word out very much about it. So if you share it as well, I'll give you the notes for today. Just send a comment saying that you shared it as well down below. So back to our topic, if you will. I'm reminded of something a man by the name of Chad Thibodeau, a man I respect a lot, once said, sometimes to get it, you got to go through it. All right? So if I'm looking at both the cameras there, bear with me. It's the first one, but where there's a number of different cameras trying to get onto different different networks at the same time here. But for today, that means we're going to be going through about the 2 or 3 things you need to understand for, in my opinion, really how we can really make this a better world. And in my opinion, very much so, nonprofits are indeed the space where things can be better, where we have an opportunity really to make a society far better place. I'm a firm believer in the power of nonprofits and the impact that they do, but however, they're often challenged by a big problem. A biggest problem, you might think is, well, what is it? My guess is maybe thinking it's money, but in my opinion, how that's money is certainly is an issue. It's actually a question of leadership. And that comes down to a leadership that runs these organizations by volunteers who are well-intentioned, but unfortunately, very often uninformed or misinformed. So the challenge of this, and the first roadblock that they need to get over, is to recognize that boards have a fiduciary responsibility. And what do I mean by that? Many boards don't really grasp the degree of the legal and ethical relationship of trust that they have to hold with their stakeholders, with their funders, with their members, their staff, if that comes into place. But as volunteers, how are they really supposed to get that out if, again, if this is all done really often off the corner of their desk? Between understanding the finances, getting a grasp on staff management, the best practices in governance, knowing exactly the questions to ask at your next board meeting, succession planning, knowing the next where and how you're going to best do your next fundraising or capital campaign. The list goes on and on and on. Now, having that information you need in a quick and readily accessible format is also a challenge. If you're like most board directors, You've got a lot on the go between your profession, your family life, your career, and other commitments. And no matter how passionate you are, board service is really just, for many people, is just one more demand on their time. Okay? Now, morning board members are left very much overwhelmed by the time they're to get to their next board meeting. Okay? Many have confided in me, frankly, over the years that I've been involved in not-for-profits, etc., that they wish they could feel satisfied in the knowledge that their organization and board is really living up to its full potential. And you know what? They're not alone. According to a study done by Stanford University's Graduate School of Business, 46% of nonprofit board directors feel that they have little confidence at all in the data they have to review to fully and accurately measure the success of their organization. Think about that. 46%. Not the majority, but that's a large chunk. And it comes down to in my opinion, a big challenge of a match of expectations between those maybe who are on the board who are really real go-getters, and this is their life, their passion, they're driven by this, or the staff who live and breathe this stuff regularly. And I've seen them, they're pulling their hair out quite often, saying, why don't they get it? Why don't they follow up on this? Folks, you have to remember, this is a side gig for them. This is a volunteer opportunity for them. Now, it goes even further that over 69% of nonprofit board directors have said that their organization has faced a major governance challenge in the last 10 years. Whether someone absconded off with the budget, there's been a conflict of interest, there's been personality conflicts on the board. I don't want to sound like Mr. Negative Nelly here, but these things happen. It's very common, unfortunately. Now, the response out there, in my opinion, has been a deluge, unfortunately, of too much information, and it's academic. It's widely interpreted to the point that you nearly have to have a PhD in governance for most people to get a sense of what needs to be done. And that is just far too much to expect, in my opinion, of the average volunteer who's got a good heart and wants to do something right and volunteer their leadership skills. So that's the first challenge, okay? The second challenge is I often see nonprofit organizations siloed amongst their various causes, industries, passions, whatever that may happen to be. Now, whether it's hiring or letting go of a staff person, understanding the dynamics of the challenges nonprofit boards are facing, or any other thing, it tends to come down to perspective of what they know in their organization, industry, or cause or sphere. So let me explain. If you sit on the board of a local community health organization, okay, that might take over on this, or you're on the board of your local trade association, or you're on the board of United Way, or some other great organization, maybe an international NGO that sets up and helps schools in Africa, build schools in Africa, whatever that may be. You're likely going to be facing, at least what I've witnessed, you're likely going to be facing very much what's been going on in that sphere of activity. So you might, at best, that's really at best, come across somebody else some other people who sit on the boards of another parallel or similar type of organization. But the chances that you're going to be coming across somebody who sits on a medical association board, who sits on another charitable industry that deals with environmental issues, we'll throw that out, from what I witnessed, are slim to none. You might come across some, but it doesn't happen very often. It tends to be a siloed across the issues. That's at least what I've observed. Now that's fine, and what I mean by that, and the challenge where that comes in, is that, believe it or not, a lot of the same challenges your board may be facing if you're in an environmental NGO. You're trying to figure out how to raise money or how to deal with a succession planning challenge. Folks, good chance, very good chance that another organization in a completely different vertical or something like that has likely been facing the same thing. But the way nonprofits are structured up, you'd never get an opportunity for boards to interact and to share stories as well. And without ever connecting with your peers, they repeat the same damn challenge and mistakes each and every single time. All right, I've seen it. It's frustrating. It's heartbreaking, frankly. I see this, but in my humble opinion, one of the best ways to learn to grow professionally is from your peers, is to connect with your peers. Really, it is. But how many of you can, if you're listening to this and I'm hearing this, if you can agree with me that sometimes just having a sounding board, frankly, of your colleagues has been useful in your careers, heart this. Tell me really not if you think that if you can relate to this. Now, total respect goes out to the executive directors of nonprofits, associations, and the whole bit. That's great. Don't get me wrong. After all, I'm a former one of them as well. The fact of the matter is, having chatted with a lot of board directors, they rely and they respect you very much, but they do very much feel that, you know what, if there was some possible way to be able to get, hold on a minute, I got a little bit of a problem there. If there was some possible way, we got a little bit of a challenge here. Hold on a minute. This is what happens in live streaming, folks. There. Trying to. All right, post. Okay, we're going to need to do another one here on LinkedIn. Try to keep ourselves up to folks that our folks on LinkedIn aren't missing out as well. Bear with me. All right. All right. Okay, I think we're back in there. All right, sorry, folks. Anyways, getting back to what I was saying here. Total respect goes out to the board, out to executive directors. I'm one of them. But the fact is, most board directors really would like to feel that they're coming to a lot of their own decisions on their own. And when you inevitably have strong executive directors, they're going to be giving counsel. And that's it can be a dangerous thing for executive directors as well to watch out for, that they don't become perceived as the know-it-all as with some of them. So I really believe that this society, as a result, could be so much better, so much stronger, really, if the whole aspect of leadership at the board level could be addressed. So heart me again if you're agreeing to this. So how do you exactly strengthen leadership at the board level? Do I have your okay maybe to tell you a little bit about my idea I've been coming up with and been working with? It's been one that's, frankly, it's been picking up steam. It's an association of everything, an association, frankly, for everything. Even executive directors exists, but nothing for board directors of nonprofits. There's other things like this. I don't want to get into that too much. We can try there, but nothing for them as well. So it's an idea, frankly, that's been allowing board directors to quickly access information in a digestible format, gives them resources and a sounding board as well for their board colleagues. So let me bring you back to the origin of this. So back after starting my own association management company in 2016 or so, I was coming across this, what I was mentioning earlier, all these similar challenges that were happening all the darn time. They're happening. And there was nothing out there for them. So we tried to do a bit of an initial launch to see whether or not there'd be an interest for just some informal get-togethers of non-for-profit board directors. And the success of it really did encourage me. We had a number of really great executive roundtable discussions where board directors were virtually networking. We were holding discussions with some really top leading experts in the whole field. And that really gave them enough of an encouragement, frankly, to say, you know what, there's something to this. And since then, we've had other people joining the association as well. If you want to find out more about this, go to nonprofitboarddirectors.org. Now, if you become a member of this, if you're a nonprofit board director, if you become a member of this, here's what you get. A members-only bulletin board opportunity to be able to post your questions. You can do it anonymously there if you're a little concerned about that. You have template swipe governance policies, member-only blog content and reference materials. That's got a $97 value on that, annual value on that. The bulletin board's got a $120 annual value on this. A member-only roundtable mastermind discussions that happen monthly, I was mentioning before. That's frankly a $297 value. These are intimate discussions that happen only with board directors. It's not a webinar with somebody, a talking head that's going to sell you something at the end. It's an opportunity to be like a brief presentation from an expert in the field, and then to ask questions, and then to dialogue with your colleagues, other nonprofit board directors, people from all over. We have a special member-only rates, access to online events and recordings such as the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors Web Summit that will be coming soon. That's $26 value. A summary of the Will to Govern Well, that's one of our ebooks that was come out as well, $27 value. That's an ebook as well. Questions nonprofit board directors should ask before undertaking a change. That's a $27 value. And up your nonprofit board's performance without needing a PhD in governance. That's one of our newest books as well, a $47 value. 20 questions to vet, recruit, and retain nonprofit board directors. Another resource worth $27. Setting your nonprofit strategy and course. Board meetings focused on growing revenues, memberships, and engaging audiences are possible indeed. And that's a $47 value. Another book as well called Get Her Done, the framework for diagnosing nonprofit board strategies and how they go unrealized. That's got a $47 value. And here's what you got covered. We'll get help with the single most important strategy challenges you need to understand and master before your next board meeting. And many more. We're going to be continuing to grow the resources. Now, if you put all of that together, that's got an $859 value. Now, some of you may be on a board and you might be feeling perhaps overwhelmed. All right? Some of you just may feel that perhaps your board and your organization could be doing better, but you're just not really sure how. Others you may be with me and you feel maybe the need for stronger leadership in nonprofits. Maybe you're an executive director and you want a more affordable and effective way of doing this. You know, this is something as well. How many times, executive directors, you've gone out, you've hired an expensive consultant, they do a weekend consultation, a facilitation, everybody comes out all happy about it, and then 6 months down the line, either it's for the report or the training is gaining dust on the shelf, they've completely forgotten about it, or you've got completely different people on the board altogether, and you've got to go and rinse and repeat the whole cycle all over again. If you give your board a group membership, they have the opportunity to be able to learn from each other, get a lot of these great other resources, and be an effective and more effective boss about this. So, exec directors, if you want to learn more about this, go to executivedirector.nonprofitboarddirectors.org, and you can find a little bit more specifically about that. Now, as I mentioned, the whole value of that is not $859. But you know what? I'm not going to charge that down. You know, if personally, but even if it were, even if it accomplished even just one of those things, would it not be worth it? I mean, personally, I belong to a number of professional associations, and you pay anywhere from $700 to $1,200 annually. We're not going to do any of that, though, for $859 or anything like that. We're doing this, frankly, for a special. Because I feel very strongly about that one of the biggest challenges to our society is the strength of nonprofits, and it comes down to leadership. So we're doing a special. You have the opportunity to get a 31-day free trial membership for just $99 annually. $99. You break that down, that's $825 a month. It's less than a coffee and a sandwich at Starbucks. Skip the trial, and hell, we'll throw it in. We'll do it for $73 annually. Okay? And with that, do it now, though, because if you do it now, you'll be able to get access to our coming next executive roundtable. It'll be coming up June 14th at 1 p.m. We'll be inviting a expert panel on the whole aspect of succession planning for your next CEO or executive director. Folks, I'm on a mission, and this is my contribution, at least, to making this a better world. If you feel the importance of this message as well, I want you to send me a direct message. Reach out to me, heart this message, heart this video, and videos. If you're on LinkedIn, we had to break it up into two. And I hope we can have a further conversation. All right? So thank you very much.